This is a large longhorn beetle. It has a pair of separate teeth. It will destroy trees and is an insect. These are 100 bow ants. They eat small insects. What would happen if a longhorn beetle and 100 bow ants were put together? There are not many small insects. Pick up the longhorn beetle. Throw it directly into the bow ant nest. Let's see. As soon as the longhorn beetle went in, it was still reluctant to go down. It was hanging on the ceiling. But the army of bow ants had already discovered it and surrounded it and started to bite the longhorn beetle. These bow ants were not in a good mood. After being bitten, the longhorn beetle felt uncomfortable and moved its legs desperately to chase away the bow ants. But there were too many bow ants. The longhorn beetle could not bear it anymore. It started to move its body to escape. So it went down. But there are more bow ants below. The longhorn beetle is completely confused. At this time, it wants to go back to the wall, but in panic, its feet slip and it falls. The longhorn beetle is so scared that it spits out liquid. The army of bow ants takes the opportunity to climb on the longhorn beetle and bites the longhorn beetle like crazy. The longhorn beetle is in so much pain that it quickly helps itself to right itself. Even after being bitten, it wants to climb the wall, but its feet are also covered in bow ants, so it can't climb the wall. It turns over again. Now the army of bow ants becomes even more excited. Faced with such a huge monster, they are not at all frightened and take turns to attack the longhorn beetle. The longhorn beetle is now unable to get up and can only swing its legs wildly. But the bow ants prefer to attack the soft and tender parts first. Recently, the longhorn beetle has been putting up more of a fight. However, it has heavy armor to protect its body. It is not a pushover. It wields its weapon with brute force and overturns the bow ant nest. The bow ant army has no armor-piercing ability and can only fight the longhorn beetle. At this time, it comes out to watch the battle. The frontline bow ant attacking soldiers gain even more morale. They swear to defend to the death. The bow ant pounces on the longhorn beetle. The longhorn beetle seems to be in danger. Its great healing teeth seem to be able to chew only trees, not the ant. The balance of victory tilts towards the bow ant. However, the longhorn beetle's immense power slowly begins to take effect. The bow ant army suffers casualties. The infantry uses their bodies to attack the heavy tank. The longhorn beetle takes advantage of the bow's weak attack and turns to the side again. But the bow ant warrior hangs on to the longhorn beetle but does not give up the attack. The longhorn beetle begins to crawl in pain. The bow ant bites him again. At this time, the genetic bow ant warrior climbed up and bit the longhorn beetle on the chest. The longhorn beetle stood up desperately in pain. Now the longhorn beetle has consumed a lot of energy. The bow ant has also suffered a large number of casualties. Both sides are fighting to the death. It depends on who can hold on to the end. WTF. The longhorn beetle has used up its last bit of energy. After losing its energy, its movements slow down, and it begins to stagger. Finally, it falls, but it is not willing to give up. It took 2 more steps, and finally it turned over. The longhorn beetle felt that its luck was running out, and it shook its limbs vigorously. It was struggling in its last moments, but it was useless. It was exhausted, and it couldn't move after being kicked in the leg. Holy shit, the longhorn beetle finally died at the hands of the bow ant army. The bow ant army also lost 50%. A sad victory, but it will be able to recover gradually in the future. Haha.